According to the written accounts of Genesis, the human timeline begins with intense, isolated stability. Following the creation of Adam, early humanity rapidly expands across an untouched Earth. Look at this timeline mapping the lifespans of these first generations. The data shows extreme longevity. Adam lives for 930 years. His son Seth lives to 912, and Seth's son Enosh reaches 905. Within this ledger, two anomalies stand out. Enoch's timeline abruptly stops at 365 years. The text notes he simply was no more because God took him away. A few generations later, Methuselah's lifespan stretches out to a staggering 969 years before he dies. Soon after, Methuselah's son Lamech has a child. He names him Noah, stating a specific prophecy, that this son will bring comfort from the painful toil caused by the ground the Lord had cursed. For centuries, the earth is inhabited by the exact same individuals. These are nearly immortal men, deeply rooted in the soil, overlapping with their great-great-grandchildren in a world that barely changes. Eventually, this demographic stability breaks. The human population explodes globally, and entirely new interactions begin to occur across the earth. The text introduces the Nephilim. These were the heroes of old, men of renown born when the sons of God married human women. Their arrival coincides with an era of absolute global violence. The Creator observes this shift. The record states that every inclination of the human heart had become exclusively evil all the time. God's reaction is specific: deep regret and a troubled heart. This graph illustrates the immediate mathematical consequence enacted by God. The era of 900-year lifespans is over. A hard cap is introduced, permanently limiting future human life to exactly 120 years. Then comes the final divine decree. God announces a total wipeout of the human race, alongside all birds and land-dwelling creatures. Only one individual, Noah, described as a righteous man, is spared. The sheer density of human corruption forced a mechanical shift. The Creator transitions from sustaining the biological life on Earth to engineering a catastrophic planetary reset. God does not give Noah vague warnings about the impending destruction. He provides a highly specific mathematical architectural schematic for a massive vessel. The required building materials are heavily restricted. The ark must be constructed entirely of cypress wood, and it must be coated inside and out with pitch to guarantee absolute waterproofing. This 3D wireframe maps the demanded dimensions: 300 cubits long, 50 wide, and 30 high. A cubit is roughly 18 inches, making it 450 feet long. Internally, it is split into 3 stacked decks, with a 1-cubit opening running below the roofline. These precise engineering parameters indicate exactly what Noah was building. This was a highly calculated survival mechanism, designed explicitly to weather a global catastrophe. Once the structure is built, Noah faces a massive biological constraint. He must preserve the breath of life from every single species of land-dwelling creature and bird on the planet. This statistical breakdown shows the exact intake numbers mandated by the covenant. Noah is required to bring in 7 pairs of every clean animal and bird, but only 1 pair of every unclean animal. To keep them alive, he is also ordered to gather and stockpile every kind of food necessary to sustain this biological cargo indefinitely. Noah executes these complex logistics exactly as commanded. A final 7-day loading period takes place, bringing the cargo inside before the rains begin. The completed ark functions as a floating biological vault. It contains the absolute minimum genetic data required to restart the world once the floodwaters recede. The cataclysm begins on a highly specific date, the 17th day of the 2nd month in the 600th year of Noah's life. The text details a dual-source physical mechanism for the flood. First, the springs of the great deep violently burst forth from the ground. Simultaneously, the floodgates of heaven are opened from above. A continuous, relentless rainfall pounds the earth for exactly 40 days and 40 nights. The mechanical result of these rising waters is immediate. The rising flood physically lifts the heavily loaded ark high above the earth's surface until it floats freely. This is a total mechanical reversal of the original creation. The structured, populated world is returned entirely to a chaotic, watery void. This cross-section shows the final, terrifying water level. The text states the waters rose until they covered the peaks of the highest mountains under the entire heavens, reaching a depth of more than 15 cubits above the summits. Outside the ark, the mortality rate is absolute. Every bird, livestock, wild animal, and human being with the breath of life on dry land perishes. The waters flood the dead earth in complete silence for exactly 150 days. The ancient world of 900-year-old patriarchs and rampant violence has been permanently erased. Only one righteous family remains, sealed inside a wooden box as the sole inheritors of a completely reset planet.